The ocean. A vast, endless abyss. It does not care who you are or how hard you fight. Once you're lost in it, it doesn't let go. Stretching beyond the horizon and covering 70% of the Earth's surface, it remains one of the last true frontiers. And yet, we've explored only a mere 5% of it. The rest, a great black void of crushing silence where people vanish without a trace. Some disappear, their final moments lost in the deep. Others are left to drift, helpless as the sun tears at their flesh and the salt clouds their minds. The lucky ones drown quickly, the unlucky ones linger. This begins as the adventure of a lifetime, a dive into the crystal clear waters of the Great Barrier Reef. But out there, mistakes aren't forgiven. You can scream, you can beg, you can swim until your body gives out, but no one can hear you. And when the sun goes below the horizon, well, that's when the true horror really begins. No witnesses and no rescue, just the slow realization that no one is coming. Because no one even knows you're missing. This is the story of how one little hiccup left a married couple floating by themselves in the middle of the vast ocean where they were never found again. The fate of Tom and Eileen Lonergan. Please leave a like and a comment on this video because it really helps me in the algorithm. All winter, I've been enjoying my Raycon earbuds, keeping them safe like a mother hen by crafting them a comfy little nest out of sticks, and sitting on them to keep them warm, and occasionally regurgitating food for them. I'm surprised that they weren't very hungry. But now, spring is here and all of my hard work, love and care has paid off because my earbuds have finally opened up and bloomed into headphones. These snazzy new everyday headphones may be spring chickens, but they still punch way above their weight while starting at half the price of other premium audio brands. All the features that you know and love, but more. 40-hour battery life that charges so fast that you can get 2 of those hours in just 15 minutes. And believe me, they are so ergonomic and comfy that I can wear them until they run dry. And believe me, I have. With the everyday headphones 360-degree immersive surround sound, I feel like I'm really in the cinema whenever I put on my playlist. Hybrid active noise cancellation can block out anything. Great for drowning out my staff as they pester me to make the Madagascar video, because I'm not interested in hearing anything that makes good business sense. I'm not making the video.
Where is it?
I'm not making
the video?
I'm not making the video.
Bring it!
I'm not making it. And what am I replacing the sound of good business ideas with? Well, here's a recording of all of my cleverest thoughts that I frequently revisit with my headphones. But the smartest idea of all of them has clearly been trying out these bad boys. And if you want to try them yourself, go to buyraycon.com/Dankula25 to get 25% off of a set of Raycon's everyday headphones, backed up with a no questions asked 30-day happiness guarantee. And now, thankfully, back to the video. It all started in Louisiana. 2 souls came together with a mutual love for adventure. Born on December 28, 1964, Tom Joseph Lonergan attended Louisiana State University, as did Eileen Cassidy Haynes, who was born on March 3, 1969. Tom chose psychology to study the human mind, and Eileen chose biology to learn about the natural world's secrets. Scuba diver extraordinaire Eileen frequently told Thomas stories of her underwater exploits, and attracted by her excitement and the fact that she had boobs, Tom chose to go diving with her, because when a female asks you to go swimming, you just do it. Their shared love for the ocean was also paralleled by their mutual desire to contribute to the world. In 1995, shortly after their wedding on June 24th, 1988 in Jefferson, Texas, the now married couple joined the Peace Corps, embarking on a journey to the remote island of Tuvalu, nestled in the vast expanse of the Pacific Ocean. Here, amidst the palm trees and the rhythm of the ocean, Tom and Eileen dedicated 2 years to teaching and community development. And I'm just going to go right off the bat and say I fucking hate people like that. You know, the ones that go, travel is my passion, I love travelling. Fun fact, everybody likes fucking travelling. It doesn't make you special. Sure, it's also an absolute coincidence that you just so happen to go to a tropical island fucking paradise to help out. I wonder why you didn't go to, I don't know, Africa or the Middle East or fucking Moldova to help there. Fucking daddy money trustafarians. Anyway, life in Tuvalu was challenging but rewarding. Limited resources resulted from the island's isolation, but they found fulfillment in this simplicity. They became fully involved in the culture of the close-knit community that welcomed them. They spent their weekends exploring the island's coral reefs, with each dive introducing them to more marine life and strengthening their respect for the sea. After Tuvalu, their commitment to the Peace Corps led them to Fiji. So, not a war-torn country or a place with a literal fucking famine. Instead, it would be another beautiful island paradise I'm sure you're all very shocked to hear. There, they continued to work closely with underprivileged communities. Fiji's vibrant landscapes and culture provided a sense of adventure, both on the land and in the sea. Their proficiency in diving grew, with each expedition offering new discoveries and increasing their appreciation for the marine ecosystem. As the new millennium approached, the couple contemplated their return to the United States. However, before concluding their trip, they wanted to go for a final dive, a pilgrimage to the Great Barrier Reef in Australia. Renowned as one of the world's most extensive and diverse marine habitats, the reef promised an unparalleled diving experience. And for 2 dedicated scuba divers like Tom and Eileen, of course they would want to go to the most famous diving location in the entire world. In January of 1998, they arrived in the coastal town of Port Douglas, Queensland. The town, filled with hippies and a laid-back atmosphere, served as a gateway to the reef. The local community, a mixture of fellow travellers, divers and marine enthusiasts, spoke of tales of underwater exploits and the beauty of the coral formations. Gay. The couple, with their seasoned equipment, were ready for their final dive before returning back to the mundane life of not being somewhere sunny. Eager to embark on the expedition, they selected a local charter company, Outer Edge Dive, known for its tours to some of the reef's most pristine sites. On the morning of January 25th, 1998, they boarded a vessel named Outer Edge. The crew, a mixture of seasoned sailors and dive masters, welcomed the Lonergans on board, along with 24 other passengers. The day included multiple dives at St. Crispin's Reef, a locale celebrated for its vibrant coral gardens and abundant marine life. As the Outer Edge anchored close to St. Crispin's Reef, the divers geared themselves for the plunge into the depths. Tom and Eileen checked their gear again to make sure everything was in working order. The couple went under the water and schools of fish swam around them, while the sunlight filtered through the water, creating stunning patterns on the seabed. I realise that I'm a deadpan arsehole, right? But seriously, go and Google the Great Barrier Reef. It is absolutely fucking stunning. I will never go scuba diving though. Fuck that. Celts have a massive fear of the water. If you know, you know. We call it the land of gods and horrors for a reason. But as the allotted dive time came to an end, the peaceful scene took a dark turn. Tom and Eileen had no idea that a serious oversight was taking place right above them. There was a little bit of a miscount on the outer edge. Now, allegedly what happened was another couple who were in the water were having a bit of trouble with their scuba gear, so they returned to the boat to fix it, where a staff member on the boat wrote down 2 tally marks showing that 2 divers had returned to the boat. But once these 2 divers had fixed their gear, they returned back to the water. And those 2 tally marks were still on that page. Then, when all the other divers returned, they were marking them all down as tally marks on that same page. Then, when there was 24 tally marks, the captain said, "Grand, all the divers have returned, time to return to port." So they fired up the engines and started returning home to Port Douglas. However, Tom and Eileen were still under the water. They'd been left behind. But seriously, in a situation like that, never leave it down to tally marks on a fucking page. Literally just do a roll call or even a fucking head count of all the people in front of you. It would only take 10 fucking seconds. I mean, my fucking toddler can count to 24. Now, imagine yourself diving in the ocean, seeing things that you could never imagine and having the time of your life, and expecting to get back up to the surface to the reassuring sight of the boat, except it's fucking gone. And you see nothing but an endless horizon of open water. As the minutes pass by, panic and disbelief start to set in. Surely they haven't just left us. Surely the boat is going to come back any moment. But as the hours stretched on, the couple faced the harrowing reality of their situation. They had been left behind. The human body, when exposed to the elements, undergoes a series of debilitating transformations. With no shade, the brutal Australian sun begins burning their skin almost immediately. Without fresh water, dehydration sets in rapidly. The salt water, with each accidental gulp, would only escalate their thirst. The ocean, teeming with life, also harbours a lot of predators. Especially in Australia, where practically every single animal can fucking kill you. If the box jellyfish, which is common in the area and can cause excruciating pain, open sores, or even paralysis, wasn't enough, the reef is home to very, very many sharks. And the scent of potential prey can draw them in from miles away. The couple, floating there, weak and vulnerable after being dumped there by a boat, was the shark equivalent of a Deliveroo. This situation really couldn't get any worse. Well, actually it can. Nighttime. Have you ever been in complete darkness? I can tell you for a fact that it's not a very good feeling and you start to feel really uncomfortable after just a few minutes. Now imagine complete darkness for hours while floating in the fucking ocean. And not knowing what the fuck that was that just brushed against your leg. Then, since it's nighttime where the temperature plummets and you are in the fucking ocean, hypothermia sets in. Shivering turns to numbness and limbs become weak. The salt, sun and water exposure lead to skin peeling and open wounds. Every single movement stings. In a final desperate attempt, some people try to drink seawater, which only accelerates kidney failure and causes delirium. Now, as for what happened during the final moments of the Lonergans, or how they exactly died, no one actually knows, because there was literally no one else around for miles. Could it have been exhaustion, dehydration, hypothermia, literally eaten by fucking sharks, a combination of all of the above? We have no idea, because their bodies were never found. But by the time anyone realised that something was wrong, it was already far too late. The Outer Edge returned to port in the afternoon, completely unaware that 2 of its passengers were still adrift in the sea. The crew offloaded the equipment, the divers celebrated the trip, and the boat was cleaned up and prepped for the next day. The absence of Tom and Eileen Lonergan went completely unnoticed. It took 2 full days for the staff to notice that something was wrong. At the scuba diving company's headquarters, the employee conducting a routine inventory count found something suspicious. 2 full sets of diving gear were missing. Alongside that, personal belongings, including the Lonergans' clothes, shoes, wallets, and passports, were still on the boat and had not been retrieved. Panic started to set in. The police were called, an investigation began, and it didn't take long, or in this case it did take too fucking long for everyone to realise that Tom and Eileen Lonergan never made it back to the boat. A huge search and rescue mission was launched, but considering that 2 days had already passed in the places where tides shift and open waters stretch for hundreds of miles, the situation was already grim, and the chances of finding them were practically zero. A helicopter search started over the Great Barrier Reef, scanning the vast ocean. Boats came to the area looking for any signs of the missing couple. Even the Royal Australian Navy joined in the efforts, deploying search and rescue teams in the hope of spotting any sign of them before it was too late. But days passed and they found nothing. Not a single trace of the Lonergans. The search continued for 5 days, covering 7,500 square miles of the ocean. And by day 5, the mission changed. It was no longer a rescue operation, it was a recovery effort. Eventually, the search was called off. Tom and Eileen Lonergan were officially declared lost at sea. Months later, remnants of their final moments started washing ashore. A diving slate, which is a small plastic tablet used for underwater communication, was found on a beach 75 miles from where they had disappeared. Scrawled onto its surface in desperate, shaky handwriting was a message that sent chills down investigators' spines. Monday, January 26, 1998, 8 a.m. To anyone who can help us, we have been abandoned on Agincourt Reef by MV Outer Edge, 25th January 1998, 3 p.m. Please help to rescue us before we die. Help. The slate also contained the contact information of Eileen's father, John Hines. The message proved beyond any doubt that Tom and Eileen Lonergan had been alive for at least 24 hours after being left behind. Then a wetsuit matching Eileen's size was found drifting in the ocean. It had barnacle growth, suggesting it had been in the water for a long time. More disturbing were the tears around the buttocks and armpits. The damage could have been caused by coral. Eileen struggling to climb up onto the reef in desperation. Others feared a more sinister explanation. Sharks. Evidence that their final moments were far from peaceful. No bodies were ever recovered. Theories started to emerge. Some believed that they had drowned, too weak to keep afloat, their bodies taken into the dark deep. Others pointed to sharks who had found them first. Some even suggested that in a final act of mercy, Eileen drowned Tom to end his suffering before taking off her wetsuit and surrendering herself to the ocean. But that's not all of it. Rumours began circulating that Tom and Eileen had actually staged their disappearance. Some pointed to the entries of Tom's personal journal, which was found among his belongings, and these entries hinted at an unsettling despair. He wrote about feeling detached from the whole world, describing life as an illusion. The note read, "Like a student who has finished an exam, I feel as if I am ready to leave this life." To some, this suggested suicide. That Tom had orchestrated the entire thing, and people were even suggesting that he had paid the crew to leave them behind, choosing to disappear into the abyss together. But the question came, why even take their passports? Why leave behind their belongings? And why would they write a desperate plea for help on the diving slate? If it was a planned disappearance, they wouldn't have begged for rescue. The most horrifying truth is the most simple one. They were just forgotten. A catastrophic mistake that got 2 people killed. The Outer Edge crew faced intense scrutiny, to say the least. The boat captain, Jeffrey Nairn, was actually charged with manslaughter but later acquitted, citing lack of evidence of gross negligence. The company itself was fined $25,000 for failing to follow proper safety protocols, which seems pretty fucking low for getting 2 people killed. The Lonergans' deaths sent shockwaves throughout the diving industry, forcing new laws to be put in place. Strict roll calls were introduced, ensuring that no diver would ever be left behind again. As Eileen's father commented later, the fact that no one is being held accountable for this is beyond comprehension. If it were a private individual, they'd be in jail by now. The haunting tale of Tom and Eileen actually inspired films, documentaries, and discussions about the dangers of open water diving. The most well-known adaptation of their tragic fate is the 2003 film Open Water, a psychological horror thriller that loosely dramatises their ordeal. But, of course it's dramatised because after the boat left, no one has any fucking idea what happened to them, so the movie just kind of makes up that entire part. For the purpose of writing this, I did actually watch it, and it's not bad. It's a not bad movie. But it did remind me why I have a deep primal fear of deep water, so I wouldn't recommend it if you've got a fear of the ocean. Tom's father, James Lonergan, did speak out about the movie when it first came out, saying, "It's a complete distortion. It's very upsetting. They didn't even contact us. They just used our tragedy to make a film." Which is a pretty reasonable response considering it's a movie about your son dying in the ocean. No one truly knows what happened to them in those final hours. Did they fight until the very end, clinging to one another in the vast darkness? Did they see the shadows circling below them? Did one go first, leaving the other all alone? Or did they simply let go, their bodies becoming another secret in the sea? Whatever their fate, their story serves as a haunting reminder. The ocean does not care. It's fucking terrifying and you should not go in it. But also, what a fucking way to go.
It's Count Dankula on YouTube. Everybody should subscribe.